The Badgers have dropped their third in a row. Is there anything positive, anything good for Badger fans to talk about right now between football and the slate of stretch basketball? Let's talk about it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Ryan Herrings. This is the reaction show. Wisconsin drops a third straight basketball game. They're ninth in a row to Illinois. 9, right? Is it 9, Rajiv? It's 9.
Something like that.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. New customers bet bet $5, win $150 in bonus bets if you hit your first $5 bet. That's over at FanDuel.com. Today's episode is a reaction show. We haven't played this in a minute. I feel like we're going to start here, and then we're going to get into a bit of a rant.
I need to talk about it. My head is going to explode. What the heck just happened? It's the therapy session on Locked On Badgers. Hey, Doc, I need to talk about
I'm looping. I haven't done that in a minute either. Rajiv, man, give me your rant on this.
I mean, therapy is what we need right now. Boy, I tell you what, man, I am so frustrated. I was literally just throwing my pillow and just like banging it against the couch. I'm just frustrated right now. Like, I feel like nothing can ever go our way. Can we not just catch a freaking break as Badger fans for 5 minutes? Like, I'm just upset. Like, we started out 8-0, and then we have these 3 games that are tough games. We're against really good opponents, and we can just never seem to be the better team. We can never seem to get that big shot when it matters in the second half when we're closing in and we're down by 4 and we shoot up an air ball and we foul 3-point shooters twice and they make it. And we're just like, why can we just never catch a break? Every single time Illinois, seemingly every single time they threw up a shot, they missed, offensive rebound, or, there was a foul, or this. It's like, I'm just sitting there just so frustrated that I have nothing to cheer about. There was no moment where I got up off my chair and was like, yes, except maybe with Tanjay's late 3 that got us a little closer.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating. Like, every time something good is about to happen, someone just pulls the rug out from under us. And this has been happening for months. It's been happening in the football season, happens in the basketball season, it happens in everything. I'm tired as a Badger fan right now, Ryan. I'm just exhausted of feeling like crap all the time and just not being able to celebrate the things that we want to celebrate. And I'm really having a tough time with this, man. This is why this is good right now, because it's time for me to get this out, and it's time for people to listen and hopefully get their feelings out. Put it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, because it is a tough time. Like, I was on Sonny's show this week on Locked On Illini, kind of previewing the game, and there was like some excitement behind it, and I was thinking it was going to be a tough game, but maybe we can do something. But no, of course we can't, because we can't have nice things, and it's just really frustrating, man. We'll get into the game, of course, but I feel so deflated right now as a fan of all Wisconsin sports, and I just feel like we can't seem to catch a break. And that's from Crowl missing 3-foot shots to Max Klesmit having an air ball when we could have done something. Like, there's so many moments where, can we just get over that hump a little bit? Can the sporting gods just help us a little?
I feel that. Like, I feel all of that, man. I feel all of that. And here's the thing. What you're venting on right now, like, that's cumulative. Because if you look at this game, this is an 86-80 loss to a really good team on the road in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, like, nobody wants to hear it, but that's also not that bad of a performance. Ultimate, big picture. But it's the cumulative effect of what we saw happen in football, how we all kind of feel about the portal, right? How we all kind of feel about what NIL has done to college football. And then 3 straight losses in basketball, which basketball was starting to become our lighthouse marker, right? That's what we were going to look to. And by the way, I'm not saying do not abandon all hope because you lose a 6-point game on the road to Illinois. That's kind of like my big picture thing here. You lost a really close game to Michigan. You were in most of that Marquette game until Tanjay got in foul trouble. People are going to in chat say, "Oh, stop it, Ryan." I'm telling you, like, losing a 6-point game on the road against Illinois is not the reason to like destroy your fandom, but it's just this constant body blow that we've had for the last couple months, where you get the end of the football season, and now this stretch here, it's tough. I agree with you. That is starting to take its toll.
Yeah, it's like nothing can go right, and you're right. In a vacuum, 6-point loss on the road to Illinois. We start out the season against Michigan, who is proving to be a very good team in the conference. At Marquette, at Illinois. By the way, the next game, that's going to be tough too. At Butler, that's not an easy game. Like, it's just, we knew this 4-game stretch was something that I had circled before the season. We all talked about it. Like, this was going to be a tough stretch, but to not feel like we can ever get a break. You're right. It's the body blows over and over until you just feel like you're down and out. And that's honestly where I feel right now. I'm just down and out. I'm not down on this team. I still feel like there's some positivity coming, but I just 0-2, by the way, 0-2. Let's talk about that. 0-2 in the conference to start out is a really bad hole because we don't play another conference game until after Christmas. Like, that stinks, man. Like, all of a sudden you're 0-2, you're at the bottom of the Big Ten, and now you got to climb your way back. It's only 2 games, but it's like, when the season comes to an end and we've played 20 games, like, it's not very easy to see us getting to 13, 14 wins now. No, I mean, it's hard. You're starting in an 0-2 hole against 2 teams, but it just stinks, man. I feel like we're not doing enough. It's just, there's so much to pick apart about this game, but it's just, there's so much pain right now, and it just sucks to be a fan right now.
Yeah, that's well said. Let's do the good, bad, and ugly on this game in particular. Then I want to get into a bunch of comments. We're gonna start with the good, because it's called the good, bad, the ugly. I'll start on this one. I love what Gilmore has become. We're gonna get into the bad and the ugly, and there are some things I hate about what we saw today, and a couple players I'm extremely frustrated by. But if you're a fan of sports, like, you have to love what Carter Gilmore has done. Carter Gilmore's become a really solid rotational player. Period. There's no but this or and that. The growth he has had from when he stepped on campus to now, Rajiv, he's one of our 5 best players. Forget like coming off the bench. I'm telling you right now, like, Carter Gilmore is our 5th or 6th best player right now in this roster. And partially that's an indication that the rest of the roster maybe hasn't played up to its standards, but it's also a credit to Carter Gilmore.
I mean, well said. Like, he deserves so much credit. If every player on the team took a jump like he did, we would be a 5 team. Like, that is the kind of jump that we did not expect. If you would have said, Ryan, list out the guys that are gonna take a jump this year, Blackwell would have been the top of that. We would have maybe said Winter, but it's like Carter Gilmore taking the jump that he has, shooting confidently from 3, by the way. Once again, what was he tonight? 1 of 2 from 3. Like, his percentage, by the way, not that bad from 3-point land. He's confident. He is very aggressive. He made some big rebounds. Like, he seems to be the only guy that's giving us that yes. Like, he gets that moment where we just don't see that from other players. So yeah. And also Jack Janicki, man, like, there's another good. There's a guy that's just like, can he just play more? I mean, he's a solid guy. He has got a solid shooting stroke. I mean, he only took 1 shot and he made it. I want him to shoot more. He's the kind of guy. He played 17 minutes tonight because of foul trouble, but yeah, man. I mean, 3 assists, no turnovers. Like, that's the kind of line that you want from Jack Janicki. Kudos to him. Gilmore and Janicki deserve a lot of credit, and we're going to talk a lot of bad things on this show. Those 2 guys are never going to be on either one of those bad lists because they are playing their butts off.
Agree. Let's go bad. I'm going to start with you on this one. Give me the bad.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm saving one other one for the ugly, but I think it's just more defensive issues, right? Like, there's so many times where I feel like wide open 3s, easy layups, wide open 3, easy layups. And it's like, we're not playing good team defense. And, like, there's moments where you'll see us play really good defense. Like, Winter had a couple possessions where he played good defense, and Gilmore. And there's other possessions where it feels like we're just kind of lazy at times. Like, there were times where I thought Blackwell just didn't have a very good game tonight. There were times where he did, but I thought there were times where he looked like, he's just kind of like putting his arm out there, and he wasn't giving his all. He wasn't playing with that heart that we've seen so much out of him, that he does play with for certain minutes out of the game. And John Tonje is another just bad for me. I just feel like he didn't have a good game. I feel like he's forcing things a little bit too much. I said on our show over the weekend that I want him to be a little more controlled. Look, he's in a very critical part of what we're doing. Okay. Like, he is necessary, but he also is a guy that 5 of 15 from the field, 2 from 7 from 3. That's just not good enough for your star player. And that's what he is right now. And I just feel like hopefully he can get off the schneid a little bit and kind of come back, because we're going to need him in this run.
Yeah, I'm going to give my ugly in a second. My bad is the offensive rebounding. Our defensive rebounding, sorry. The rebounding's atrocious, man. And some of that is, there's 2 things here, Rajiv. there's the thing we talked about all year where this team is not going to be a great rebounding team. There's no amount of coaching or cajoling that's going to get this team to be a great rebounding team because there isn't enough springy talent in the front court to do that. However, it can't be this bad. The defensive rebounding cannot be this bad. That's not all because we don't have guys. There were multiple plays where players are just not boxing out. That putback dunk late in second half against Illinois, bro, box out. I'm sorry. As much love as I've given Gilmore just watched that happen. An Illinois guy climbed his back and dunked because you didn't box out. And that's not just picking on Gilmore. That happened again and again and again. Listen, the guards, you got to get down there and help your bigs out, dig it out. Bigs, you got to box out consistently, get tougher. That's inexcusable. Bro, you lost this game. We lost this game for a couple reasons. The primary one, in my opinion, is you did not clean up the defensive glass. Inexcusable.
Yeah. That's my ugly. Clearly, Dev. I was saving that for there's just no getting around it. I mean, total rebounds 40-29. I mean, we talk so much about our front court, and frankly, just they've been unproductive. They've been kind of weak. I hate to say that, but they really have been. But man, what is it now? Like, this is just the scouting report on Wisconsin. They can't rebound. Just body up and be aggressive on the boards. Like, who wanted those rebounds more? Illinois players are flying from the 3-point line, Ryan. They're literally running from the 3-point line. They're jumping all over it. They're getting the rebounds. They're playing with heart. And I just feel like we're like, oh, let's just ball watch. Let's see what's going on here. Like, come on, man. Like, this is college basketball. You're the 20th ranked team in the country. And like, this is the performance that we get. Like, I'm not saying that you're right. A 6-point loss on the road to Illinois is not a bad thing, but we are better than this. Like, I mean, listen, Illinois has got a lot of good players. I forgot how to say his name. The Yaku, whatever. He's really good. They've got a lot of good players, but man, we left a lot of points out there. We left a lot of, stops. We made stops. We fought hard. They shoot up a shot. They miss it. Oh, we're going to get the offensive rebound. And then, they missed the putback. Oh, but don't worry. There's someone else from behind them that's going to get another putback. No problem. Oh, and then you're going to get fouled. Oh, and then they're going to kick it out. Shoot a 3. Oh, we'll just foul him. At some point, we've got to take ownership of the fact that we are an experienced team. Steven Crowell's an experienced player. Like, we've got a lot of experience on this team. We're going up against freshmen who are outworking us. That's not acceptable. The ugly in this game was lack of effort, and my gosh, the rebounding. I'm sorry, you're going to lose a lot of Big Ten games if that's how you're going to rebound.
Yep, I agree. You couldn't have said it better. We knew that was a weakness coming into the year. It can't be to this degree, right? You cannot lose it to this degree. And here's my ugly. It's Steven Crowell. And I'm not here to pick out individual players, but I'm also going to keep it real. I've been a fan of what Crowl has done. He was terrible tonight. It just is what it is. Like, you gotta call it real. Your starting center, your veteran big man, has 0 rebounds. And I actually thought he had 1, and it was 0. He had 0 rebounds. Couple misses in the first half. He did end up scoring 9, but it was an inefficient 9 where it just felt like a little too late, not very impactful. But none of that even matters to me because your scoring should come from Klesmit Tonje. It should come from Blackwell. It should come from Winter Moore. You can't have 0 rebounds as a starting 5.
I mean, how many 7-foot starting 5s? I mean, I would love to see the stat on that, by the way. How many times has that happened in college basketball? 0 rebounds from a starting 5 that's 7 feet tall. That's a shocking statistic. But also, Ryan, it's like some of the plays that he made, like, it's almost like he has to get one of these 3-footers to fall early in the game. Otherwise, he's just done. Like, use the glass a little more, make a different move. Like, there's just times where I'm like, oh, how come our guy can't make one pump fake and just go up and use the glass? Like, there's just times where I understand he's trying. He's got his man on the block. He's got some leverage on him. He's backing him down, but then he puts up a little hook, but it's just like right off the back iron. How many times have we seen that? Like, we have to do something different. There's got to be maybe a little different kind of move. Like, and I know that he is who he is. He's not really going to develop these kinds of things, but if he doesn't get that going early, you can see his game tail off so quickly because he just loses all the confidence. And yeah, man, I mean, and then it's the rebounding from Crowl. My gosh, I did not realize he had 0 rebounds until you said it. And I looked, I'm like, holy crap, he had 0 rebounds. That's yikes. I mean, really, really bad.
He's in a slump. Like this, I know people are going to tell me this is how he always is. He's not usually this bad. He's not. He averages 5 or 6 boards a game. Like he's in something the last couple of games has gotten into. I don't know what it is. This is the worst stretch of veteran Steven Crowell play I've ever seen. And he's got to get better.
This is last year. This is his senior year. By the way, I love this comment from Kevin. He says, you don't see guys looking for players to put their bodies on. Yeah. I mean, how many times you can literally watch the Illinois team? If you watch this game back, gosh, every single time the ball's up, Illinois is finding something. And our guys are just staring. I'm sorry. I'm just going on about this. I just can't.
I don't recommend you actually watch this game back, by the way. I would not recommend that. Go watch something else. We're going to take a quick second here. I want to come back with a potential lineup change. Maybe just thoughts on maybe some depth chart rotational changes I want to ping Rajiv on. Let me know in the comments where you're at. Give me a 1 to 10 confidence rating on this team right now. We're going to come back with that and with Rajiv on today's Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. Whatever you need, it's over there at FanDuel.com. Rajiv is much more of an expert on this than I am. FanDuel is fast, simple, easy. And Rajiv, I don't know if you remember way back when you used to do like online sports betting and you'd be doing it through like some European proxy, right? Like they would always decline your credit card because it was funding some foreign war. Like even if you won the money, you probably weren't getting that money back, like because it was going to fund like a Ukrainian warlord or a Russian warlord or whatever. That's not FanDuel. FanDuel's safe. It's like going over to your grandma's house. That's what FanDuel is. It's fast, it's easy. Plus, new customers, a $5 bet. If you win it, you get $150 in bonus bets, which can get you a whole lot of Badger swag. Get you a Melvin Gordon signed jersey, who should have won a Heisman with all this talk this year about historic running back seasons. People seem to forget about Melvin Gordon, what he did. So you can get that money over at FanDuel, FanDuel.com. Don't miss the opportunity to spice up your weekend over at FanDuel.com. Please do it responsibly as always. That's FanDuel.com. All right, let's come back to this. Rajiv, I was thinking during this game, one of the things I was thinking about, and we're going to get into your confidence level. If you guys are in the chat, let me know what yours is as well. I was watching this game, and you're just seeing how ineffective, for whatever reason, Stephen Crowl is in this game. And you're seeing the energy from Carter Gilmore. And by the way, we should talk a little bit about Nolan Winter having a pretty good game. 15 points, relatively efficient. I'm to the point where if start Stephen Crowl, but if you're seeing in the first couple minutes that he's not going to be effective, I don't hate just putting Gilmore at the 4, Winter at the 5, and saying we're going to be undersized, but we'll have energy, we'll have more defense, and at least players will be a little more engaged.
I completely agree. 100%. We need to make a change here. I'm okay with changing at the start of the game too. I mean, I think it's okay to send the message too. I mean, listen, just because he's a senior doesn't mean that he can't get a message sent to, hey, you're going to sit on the bench for a minute. Like you're not going to start this game. I mean, has anyone earned a start more than Carter Gilmore right now with the way he's been playing this year and the effort he's putting in? Again, if everyone put in that kind of effort, where would we be? If everyone had that effort, we'd be a lot better off. So yeah, I 100% agree. And listen, I think we need to get more minutes for Janicki too. I think Janicki deserves a chance to go out there. I think I saw someone in the Discord talking about him running the point. Like, I mean, like have him out there a bit more. I'm not saying he needs to start, but I just think that like he can be 6 man off the bench because I think he's injecting a little bit of kind of poise to the game too, and he's very heady, right? He's making smart plays a lot, and yeah. So I'm very on board with some lineup changes. We need to do something. Like we've got to, because all these little things we're talking about, like we're not getting breaks. Well, that's also because like we need to change something. We have to change something to get some of those breaks, right? And if it means that some players are coming off the bench and not starting, so be it. That's perfectly fine with me. There's nothing wrong with that.
So I wouldn't. So here's the reason I wouldn't start the game off that way. I still think the only way this team really makes a run is if you get more of an engaged Crowl, because they need that size. They need the version of Crowl that we saw earlier in the year, the version of Crowl we've seen, because he gives you size, he gives you playmaking. That's I don't want to completely throw that out over a 3-game stretch.
Fair, but do you think that like if he sits on the bench and comes in like 5-6 minutes in, that all of a sudden he's not going to come with that energy to be like, I got to earn that back too? I mean, there is an element of that. He's still a 21-year-old, 20 something like that. Like I think there is still an element of like, all right, I'm going to earn my place back. I need to give it a little bit more effort. Like, because do you really want someone who is S5 that has 0 rebounds starting every game? Like I think a message kind of has to be sent there. I think there is something to that.
I think it's fair. Listen, I would say this. The coaches on this team will know better than we would how players would respond to something like that. Totally. You got to be super careful about not I'm trying to find the way to phrase it. You got to be super careful about not losing a player over a bit of a slump in season. And there's a potential where if you send that message, maybe you embarrass them, maybe you do lose them. I don't know them, The coaches would know, right? So that would be more of that. That's why I'm more like, you got to be quicker to make those changes in game, because I don't think it really matters who starts too much. It matters who finishes, who plays the meat of the schedule, or meat of the game. So I'm okay just keeping it as is, but I just think you got to be quicker to adjust if you see it's not there. Because Gilmore could give you 30 minutes. And yes, here's the thing. Gilmore's not a perfect player. There's people in the chat saying, you can't start. It's not that Gilmore's, we're making him out to be Charles Barkley. It's just the energy level is noticeably different. And like, if you're not gonna get much from Crowl anyway, you might as well get energy from the 4 or Amos. You saw more of Amos today. Hit a 3, played a little bit better. Maybe he's the guy that starts slotting into that and getting more minutes. And maybe that's where you would go with this rotation. KPB Kevin says he's at a 5 out of 10 until Tanjay figures out how to score consistently without getting all the way to the bucket. He won't get those shots against Big Ten teams.
I want to ping you on this, Ryan, because I know that we talked about this on Sunday about Tanjay and like how I thought he needed to be a bit more in control. Like sometimes I feel like it's a little bit too much. I got kind of vibes of like some of the bad that we saw from Johnny Davis at times, of like going in there just kind of out of control, turning the ball over at times. And I felt like he's almost trying to just get fouled. And if he can't get to the hoop, he's expecting a foul, versus maybe stopping and popping at times and kind of changing what he's doing. What are your thoughts on that? And kind of what Kevin said, because I know that you obviously have a lot more basketball, like coaching experience. How do you feel like Tanjay's been playing lately in the last couple of games?
It's a good question. I would say the scouting report has shifted, right? You see that's part of, I think early in the year, the scouting report defensively when they're playing the Badgers was pointed towards John Blackwell. It was more in that direction. And as Tanjay has taken off, teams have seen what he's done, and you can see that scouting report is now to swarm Tanjay. So that's part of it, right? Adjustments be made, sure. And now you got to make counter adjustments. I, for the most part, don't hate him going downhill. I really don't. He's more crafty than I would anticipated. I think today, here's a bit of my worry. I think today there were calls that I think he would normally get that he wasn't getting, and I'm a little worried that there's a bit of a Brad Davison type of memo that went around almost and said, hey, this guy doesn't need to shoot for. I'm not a conspiracy guy. There were calls today that I thought he should have got that he didn't get. And for the most part, if you have a guy who shoots high 80s to low 90s in the free throw percentage and he's able to consistently get to that 3 foot around the rim spot, I'm pretty okay with that. Because for the most part, he's going to get those shots. He's going to get those fouls. He's going to get to the free throw line. There was 1 or 2 possessions where I thought he did get a little hero ball. One of them was a dribble pullback 3 early in the game. I didn't love that. And another one where he got on the right baseline and just kind of never moved the ball and just kind of went into that hero ball mode. I don't want that. But as long as he's getting downhill to the rim, I'm pretty okay with it.
That's fair. Yeah, another thing we didn't really touch on is free throw shooting, by the way. We missed front ends. Max missed a couple of shots. We missed 2. Yeah. I think we missed 2 front ends, 1-and-1s, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely missed 1. I think it was 2. That's a killer. That's 4 points gone. I mean, you talk about losing a 6-point game and you're 14 to 21 from the line and you miss some front ends, which are really killers. That's a big deal.
I want to get to a couple starred comments. Chris Hoffman says, frustrated with all this question mark, time to realign your priorities. Bro, this is a Badgers podcast. Like, what do you want? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna be frustrated. This is a big part of this is a big part of our life.
This is literally what we do. I don't know what to tell you, Chris. I had another guy in the Discord that said, Ryan, you're gonna be a loser. How did he word? He said, Ryan, you're gonna be a loser if you go live after this game. I was like, cool. Like, guys, we're gonna be here. Make or miss, win or loss. It is what it is. That's part of the community. Pinging on your free throw things. Sultani said we missed too many free throws. Mitchell Lee, nothing's gonna change until we can start defending a little bit better. Steve Schweitzer says, Ryan, who cares if you hurt Crowell's feelings? We're just never here to try to bash a kid. But we talk about the product on the court, and that's the point. And we're never attacking the kid because a lot of these players are great kids, great young men, but you got to call it like it is. I want to ask you this, man. When you look at this roster, where do you think you're looking at a guy like John Blackwell? Because this is kind of my other concern here. Blackwell was supposed to take a much bigger step here. We heard about it internally from people in the program. We saw some flashes. We thought he would probably be, listen, we were told maybe a Johnny Davis type of jump. Where do you think his struggles are, and what have you seen there, and where do you think that goes from here?
I feel like there are times where Blackwell just looks frustrated and he's kind of playing like that. Some of the fouls tonight, I think, were frustrated. Some of those were just bad calls too. Like, first of all, when you get in foul trouble like this and you can't really get into a rhythm, it just shows. But I think there were times where, like, I want him to just be a little more calm and a little bit more in control, because I think he has taken that step. Because when he turns it on, like you've seen in moments where like I don't know what was Michigan game where he was getting 3 offensive rebounds in a row. And then he did a similar thing tonight for a short time. Yep. Boy, he really looks like a super special player, super special. But then there's times where I just feel like he drops some of that effort. And I think it's because he kind of drops his head a little bit. He just gets a little bit kind of down on himself and down on the game state. And that's affecting his play. I actually think he has taken that step. I just don't know that he's doing it with the consistency that we would expect him to do it with. And that's where I do think we'll see that improve. I mean, hopefully, he just a little more confidence basically, and maybe a couple wins strung together. I think we'll see Blackwell kind of come back. I really think every time he makes a good play, I'm like, man, that guy is just so good. And he can do things that other guys on the team can't do. So I want him to just keep feeding, get the ball to him, get him more involved. Hopefully he stays out of foul trouble, because if he doesn't drop his head, then I really think he can be a special player. I still think he has taken that jump.
I think for me, there's 2 things here. The first is the shooting last year. He shot around 40% from 3, and that's way down this year. And I think it ties into my next point. I think this is my worry with Blackwell. Him and Tanjay are very similar stylistically, right? They're going to be kind of multiple dribbles, physical guys trying to get in the paint, beating people with physicality. I wonder if they play too similar of a role, and Tanjay is just kind of getting that job as lead scorer, and has forced Blackwell into a bit of a role he's not super comfortable in, being more the distributor, being more the playmaker. And I don't think that's his best role. I think his best role is a role very similar to Tanjay, but it's hard to have 2 of those guys who are ISO ball dominant type players playing at the same time. I think it's hurt his game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is it though? I mean, can't he still just take control on his own sometimes and just be like, I'm going to be that guy today, and show that dominance early in the game and take that over? It's maybe, do you think he's just deferring to Tanjay too much? Or do you think that maybe he should just be more selfish at times and try to play a little more hero ball just to get into the flow of the game? I mean, theoretically you could have a couple of those guys on a team, right?
Yeah. It's tough though if one guy is driving in, getting all that paying attention, taking the shots. I think Blackwell's been more entrusted to set up the offense, whereas Tanjay is a little bit more just go score. I think it's in his head more is my point. I think he feels more of a responsibility to set up the offense now, and Tanjay's just get the ball, rip and go. And I would like to see more of that with Blackwell.
So let me ask you this: in a case like that, would it be maybe a better move to have Kamari McGee starting, for example, in place of Klesmet, running the point, and then being more of that facilitator, set up the offense a bit more, having him play more minutes so that Blackwell doesn't really have to do that? Maybe that's a potential solution, because we didn't really talk about McGee as being a guy that needs more minutes. He another guy who, by the way, our whole bench, by the way, just gives effort every game. They're playing great.
It's true.
I mean, McGee is a guy that maybe should play more as well. He had 21 minutes tonight because of foul trouble, but he shot 4 times. He made 2 of them. He's been efficient. No turnovers, 3 assists. He's a guy that can do some of that too. And maybe that'll take some pressure off Blackwell. Just another thought.
No, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. And I've long thought Klesman's a great fit coming off the bench, because he can play the 1, the 2. You can kind of slot him in wherever. He can be more of a flamethrower off the bench potentially. I don't hate that. If you have McGee coming out to kind of set it up, and then you just say Blackwell and Tanjay will kind of put you each on one side. We can run pick and roll, swing it back and forth. I don't hate that. Maybe
that really is the thing. Maybe that's what the lineup change we talk about. McGee starts, Klesman comes off the bench. He's a sharpshooter, and rather than having to have that role that he has, he can just come off the bench and say, okay, I'm going to come off Blackwell. Now you take the point. I'm just going to start. I'm going to sit on the wing and just fire up threes. It could work.
The other thing you could do with those 2 guys is you could stagger them more, right? You could, earlier in the game, you could take out Blackwell or Tanjay, and then at the 8-minute mark, you bring in Blackwell or Tanjay back for the other guy, and just let them kind of be that lead guy. They play a lot together, which I get, because they're 2 of your best players. You have to do that. But there's also probably spots where you could stagger them a little bit and get them rest that they need, and then you finish the end of the game with them. There's a couple ways you could do it, but I do wonder if some of that's impacting Blackwell. I don't hate the Kamari idea. Kamari's been really solid.
And I think like maybe we do, like, I guess the question is, do we really need it to change, or did we just lose 3 games against 3 tough teams? I think we do need to change something. And I think something has to give a little bit, because if nothing else, to get us out of a bit of a slump that we're in. I mean, we had the return of the dreaded scoring drought tonight, which I was like, oh man, here we go. I think we were on 25 points for like 7 minutes or something. And that can't happen. So I just injecting some different kinds of things, and hopefully we'll improve things. Because look, after the Butler game, we do have a stretch of winnable games to get some confidence back going into the Christmas season, going into the Big Ten season on the other side of the new year. That, I mean, at this point, January, like this, the rest of December and January, like this is going to be how we go. We could either be a team that ends up 5-15 in conference. We could be a team that ends up 15-5. It's really a big question mark, because we don't really know how good these teams in the conference are, who's good, who's not. Michigan has been a surprise team that's really good. So we have to do something now, otherwise the season can turn in a bad way.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you think a drastic change is needed, because I actually don't think one is. I don't think after 3 games, you won 8 in a row, you lost 3 against good teams. You shouldn't lose. I think you should have beat Michigan, quite frankly, but you lost 3 in a row. I don't think drastic changes need to happen. I don't. I think that's a little knee jerk. I do think tweaks, though. And we had a comment down there below. I already switched it off, where Smo said, Guard mentioned Janicki needs more minutes. I think that's a tweak. That's a good tweak to me. I think a quicker hook for Crowl, if he doesn't have it, is a good tweak for me. Maybe more minutes with McGee playing true point with Tonje and Blackwell on the wings is a good tweak for me. I think that's where I'm at. I think tweaking, I would not be in favor of wholesale changes, which would include benching Crowl.
I would agree with you on that. I think you probably convinced me on not benching Crowl to start. But yeah, tweak's probably a better word for it. But I guess some tweaks have to be made. We have to do something, right? I mean, whether a guard needs to make adjustments. I mean, that to me is pretty clear.
Bill Double says it's not knee jerk. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I still like. I think you probably convinced me that Crowl doesn't need to start. But let me tell you, if he doesn't start the next game, I'm not going to be upset about it. Like, I'm okay if he makes a change, because I do kind of think a message still needs to be sent, and it can be sent to a senior too.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. I would never argue a message needs to be sent. Again, that would really come down to the players and the coaches and how they think they would respond. Don't Badger Me says we need more minutes for Amos. Long term, that's ideal. If he can, and I mentioned this in a previous show or Discord or tweet, gosh only knows who. There's so many mediums that we communicate on now. I don't even know where maybe I just said this in my brain in the shower. But I said, like, here's the thing with Amos. He just needs to simplify. Stop dribbling as much. Space the floor, hit open threes, and then crash the glass and play hard defense. If he did that, he'd play 30 minutes a game. Like, because this team needs that. This team needs a springy 4 who can go in and crash. Illinois had like 3 of them. If Amos did that, bro, you wouldn't take him off the court. It's this simple thing. So I think, yeah, more minutes for Amos. If he can simplify it, that makes a ton of sense for me. That would help a lot. Rajiv, any last thoughts on this? I'm going to grab a couple more comments on our way out, but I'll kick it over to you for any last thoughts here.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of there's something. Look, we're a better offensive team than we were last year, and that's fine. And I'm happy that I'm proud about that. But one of the things that's really difficult for me to watch is, in any sport, whether I'm watching the Badgers on the football field, lack of defense really, really just sucks the life out of me, because it's so hard to watch at times. You're like, oh, we made a good shot. Let's get a stop. No, can't get a stop. Oh, they missed a shot. Oh, can't get a rebound. The defense and rebounding, I have to see something different in the next game. I have to see us dominate the glass against Butler and Detroit Mercy and whoever the heck we're playing after that. Like, we need to see some effort, real effort, crashing the boards. And I know that Greg Art's talking about it. I'm sure that he is. But if that doesn't change, I honestly, Ryan, I think this season could take a really ugly turn, because the Big Ten is, I know people say, oh, there's not a great team in the Big Ten. There might not be, but there's a lot of good teams in the Big Ten. And there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten that know how to rebound, that rebound well, that have a lot of good physical bigs. If we can't figure that out, we're going to have real problems. And I hope it gets done soon, because honestly, it's very, very hard to watch.
Yeah, you know what's frustrating about that? And I know I said we're on the way out, but we've been saying this for 2 years. Like, you need to go get a rebounding big. Like, you need to get somebody. And by the way, this is one of the spots. We all love spacing. We all love shooters. This is one of the spots where you miss Tyler Wall. Just is what it is. The toughness, like, that dude boxed out. Like,
I mean, you're so right about that. I hadn't thought about Tyler Wall today, and now I'm like, well, shoot, like, that would have been really nice.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was missing it when we were, spacing 5 out. But this is and we talked about, we knew we would miss it here. Bro, this offseason, you got to get a guy. We've been saying it for 2 years. You got to get a guy who can help clean up the glass, who can just play some bully ball, a 6'7", 240-pound forward, whatever it is, because it's not in next year's recruiting class, or it's not in the class that just came in. Like, you got to get somebody in the portal. A couple questions here, our thoughts. Brian Axis says not that crazy worried. He just shot bad against Michigan, make some adjustments, get Crowl back to his normal. I think we were fine. I respect that. Like, Brian
would love that. Brian would love that. I love that take, and hopefully you're right about it.
Let's see. Brian Powell, guard doesn't make adjustments. He's incapable. I would disagree with that, because we literally saw zone last game and a little bit of this game. How long? Now, we saw a zone last game. They immediately hit a 3. Marquette did. They ran action. Like, I just internally I screamed to myself, because that's never going to happen again now. But I do think guard makes adjustments. We've seen it offensively. We've seen it defensively. I don't think that's the problem. Maybe not at the rate people want, but I would disagree with that, Ben. I respected your thought. I would disagree on that. And then, Rajiv, how much do we take Potter and Vogt for granted?
Oh my gosh. But I feel like I've said the name Chris Vogt like 100 times in the last couple of weeks, because, like, I mean, we have an internal chat, like me, Justin, and Ryan. We're always talking about, like, the rim protection. Chris Vogt, can we get a Chris Vogt on this team? Yeah, I mean, and you know what? It is one of those things you just take for granted when you have it, and then when he's gone, and you all of a sudden, because frankly, we haven't had a lot of Badger teams that haven't had a rim protector, and the last couple of years we don't have it, and it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. In 20 years, we're going to keep talking about Chris Vogt, and our kids are going to think he was like Patrick Ewing. Like, they're going to think he's like Dikembe Mutombo, the way we're going to end up talking about Chris Vogt. Anyway, we're going to wrap it there, y'all. It's at 35 minutes. Really do appreciate it. As always, go check out Rajiv's work. Like, I appreciate that guy. He's authentic. He's sharp, passionate. And above all, it's like one of the best dudes out there. So go check out his work and Justin's work. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in, as always. And these shows aren't fun, but, like, it's better that we can honestly get together with literally a couple hundred Badger fans, get together and just talk it out. And I feel a little bit better afterwards. I hope you guys do too. Maybe I'm just selfishly doing this. Maybe y'all don't feel better, but I do. So,
I definitely do, because we needed this. That was a tough game to watch.
Yeah. On Wisconsin, a bunch more content coming up this week, including a couple guests I think you're really going to want to pay attention to that I'll have coming up. I don't want to spoil it, but go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? Like, cause just to inject a little bit of positivity into this show, just because, like, y'all need to go out there and listen to the interview that Jeff Grimes gave Mark Tauscher. It was on Twitter. Wisconsin football Twitter account released it. Boy, you want to get a feel good moment about Wisconsin football. Listen to this man talk, and he talks about, the identity of this team, running the football. When we run well, we can throw the ball well. It's all about that power. He treats offensive linemen are a huge part of what he does. You want to get excited about our identity coming back? Go listen to this man talk. I'm telling you, this is going to be good for this football program.
I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. Bo Dragon, stop being pessimistic. And then Sean says, great show as always. Sean, man, I appreciate you, brother. On Wisconsin, when you're done here, go check out Locked On College Football, Locked On Big Ten channel. All the biggest stories across college football and across the Big Ten on those. We will talk later. Better days ahead.